I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're taking a look at the spiritual journey of the Blessed Mother with Father Ronald Ramson's profound book. It is called Put Your Hands into Hers, Mary, Our Life, Our Sweetness, Our Hope. This insightful work explores the depth of Mary's femininity and humanity, offering a unique perspective on the Mother of Jesus. Join us as we uncover the inspiration and hope that the Blessed Mother embodies, as revealed through Father Ramson's extensive research and personal experiences. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the folks at Parchment Global Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Father, great to have you back on the show. You're one of my favorite guests. I always learn from you, and I always enjoy our conversations.
Vice versa.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Let's start out by talking about your latest book, Put Your Hands into Hers, and how
Okay.
Mary has influenced your own personal spiritual journey.
Okay. Well, let me tell you a little story. I had no intention of writing a book on Mary.
Yeah.
No intention. And one of the I was trying to get another book published.
Mm-hmm.
And the editor in New York said, Father Ramson, I want you to do me a favor. I said, what do you want me to do? He said, I want you to write me a book on Mary, because at this time with the pandemic, we need a lot of hope. We need a lot of inspiration. I went, you got to be kidding me. I never thought. And what am I going to talk about? You know, there's great theological treatises and Mariologists and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I hung up, and Logan, this is the truth. I started getting flooded with all these ideas. Because I remember years ago when I was pastor in Chicago, a woman said, it's hard to identify with Mary when you're a woman because we have put Mary on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And it's hard to identify. So I started reading, but I got involved with all the Marian apparitions.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I discovered our femininity and her humanity.
Mm.
And the talks I've given, I don't give many talks anymore, but talks again. I said, girls, in every apparition, Mary never wears the same dress. And girls like that one. You know? And I start finding out all kinds of things about that.
Yeah.
Or she has no shoes.
Hmm.
And I said to Mary one day, I said, you don't like shoes, do you? Then it dawned on me why she doesn't wear shoes. Because she's a handmaid of the Lord. They didn't wear shoes. And then she loves roses, especially yellow or golden roses. She usually has one on each toe, one foot, on each foot. And I said, she's telling us who she is and where she's from, because the root word for Nazareth is flower. I mean, things like that. This is what I picked up.
Yeah.
And no one has said you're wrong yet. I'm waiting for somebody to tell me they're wrong. I'm wrong. I said, I may be wrong, but you better be ready.
Amazing, amazing. Much of what we know about the Blessed Mother comes from where? Where do we have most of our information? From the New Testament? Tell us about it.
Yeah. My favorite place, two places. One, Jesus says from the cross when he's dying, behold your mother. Son, behold your mother. Okay. And mother, behold your son. But St. Luke's Gospel, in the Annunciation, when Gabriel appears to Mary, I figure she's 13 years old in my research, because that was a legal age for marriage, because they didn't live that long.
Right.
About 48 years old, they were gone.
Right. So to
You know,
raise a family and have children, you'd have to start young.
that's right.
Yeah.
And so and I start looking at that at at St. Luke, and I said, what's missing from this? I always tell people now, read between the lines.
Hmm.
I don't know if they appreciate that, but I said, can you imagine when her mom and dad come home and she says, this 13-year-old girl, Mom and Dad, I got something to tell you.
Hmm.
I had an apparition with Archangel Gabriel.
Hmm.
I'm pregnant.
Hmm.
Hello, you know,
Exactly.
and I can I go to Elizabeth and Zechariah to help them out? And can you get me a ticket and a caravan? I mean, it's like, that's not in the Bible, but
Right.
it had to take place.
Right.
And that's a lot of the things I learned, Logan, was reading between the lines.
Yeah. And filling in those lines, because like you said, if she has an apparition, the angel Gabriel comes to her and then she's pregnant, she does have a family to contend with. She has all of the stressors, she has all of the fear, she has all of the doubts that any young girl at 13 would have, but hers is even more weighty because she's carrying the Son of God.
That's right. Well, he Gabriel says to her, "Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid." I said, "What 13-year-old girl would not be afraid? There's
Right.
nobody in the house, and not all these great paintings we have. She's always in a palace and dressed like a queen. But that's not the. I mean, she had to be probably a one-room house like
Hmm.
they always had, And
Yeah.
he appears, and the parents are not there.
Yeah.
Gabriel appears, and I mean, an archangel is going to be a formidable personage. I mean, who wouldn't be scared? He
Mhm.
says, "Don't be afraid."
Yeah.
Anyway, that's one of my favorites, and I
Yeah.
and I
Absolutely.
it's very Christological, very theological, because Abba, God the Father, sends Gabriel
Mhm.
on the mission. He's done it a couple other times. Did it with Daniel. Did it with Enoch. This is the first time he ever did it for a woman, though,
Yeah.
Gabriel. And anyway, I may am I giving too much stuff? Too
No,
much?
no, no. It's fascinating stuff. And let me ask you about the title of the book.
Yeah.
Put your hand into hers. Mary, our life, our sweetness, and our hope. Why did you decide to name it that?
I live on about 80 miles south of St. Louis.
Mhm.
And and I live on the grounds of a shrine of Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal. And outside we have a shrine. Like the cover of my book, we actually have a statue like that with Mary's hands are out. And I see people come and they kneel down and they put their hands in her hands and
Mhm.
pray. And he said, great title for a book.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've done it myself.
Yeah.
And, and sometimes they've gotten me down to bless people sending these miraculous mental people, uh, people who are involved in miraculous mental, send in their prayer requests, and we put them in Mary's hands,
Mm.
and then we take them out, put your hands into hers,
Yeah.
and because at the time it's the prayer, our life, our sweetness, and our hope. That's a prayer of Mary. But at that time, when I wrote it with the pandemic, we needed that hope,
Yeah.
the inspiration.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. And of course, Catholics have special prayers to Mary, famously, of course, the Rosary. Um, do you think it's important or a great aspect of our faith to pray to Mary for intervention for our needs and our desires and our wishes?
Yes, I think so. I pray the rosary about twice a day,
Hmm.
and personal, it's my personal thing. And I never always did as a priest. I did not do it, but now I do as in my old age.
Hmm.
And I, I I enjoy doing it,
Yeah.
and I don't have to do it, but I do it. And uh, the well, it's I I got distracted there for a minute.
We were talking a little bit about
Yeah.
using Mary as an
Oh
to
yeah,
intercede on our requests.
yeah. Well, I said to somebody the other day, I said she's our mother,
Yeah.
okay? She's our spiritual mother,
Hmm.
okay? Now, what mother is not an intercessor?
Yes, exactly.
And I look back in Chicago when I grew up. I went to my mom first. I said, "Mom, can I talk to you about something?"
Yeah.
Yeah, Mom, would you ask Dad if can you talk to Dad? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly. And in our greatest crises in life, in our hardest times in life, we were blessed to have a mother to go to, you know,
right,
whether it's your own mother or the Blessed Mother.
right, or
And
both.
it is very comforting, or both. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah,
And we do go to our mothers when our hearts are most heavy. That's for sure.
yeah. Like for example, when I wanted to go to the seminary, who was the first one I told? My
Your
mom.
mother. Yeah.
I can tell you exactly where we sat and where it happened. And that's a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's wonderful you still recall that conversation. And I remember so many sweet conversations that I had with my mom as well, which is why our mothers live in our hearts forever.
Yeah.
Was there anything surprising or unusual or something you didn't expect to find when doing your research about Mary? Or
One,
something that particularly touched you, perhaps?
well, the yes, every apparition, everything is well scripted.
Mhm.
Everything is orchestrated by Mary. Nothing happens per chance.
Mm.
Everything, every detail is worked out.
Yeah.
Like Fatima, for example, the big ones are Fatima. We have a group of people come here on the 13th of every month, and they pray down in our grotto from the. And I said, do they know what really Fatima? See, Fatima happened on the 13th. Why the 13th? Why the 13th? Goes back to the book of Esther in the Old
Mm.
Testament, when Esther intervenes on behalf of the Jewish people to save them from being annihilated. And you and I look at Mary's. I said, look at Mary's gown. At the end of her gown, there's a star and Fatima. Guess what? That means Esther in Hebrew, if I'm not wrong,
Mm.
right? And so, yeah, and I said, she's telling us who she is. She's the she's the modern Esther, the star.
Mm.
And some things like that.
Yeah.
Those are the things I learned, Logan.
Yeah.
After it took some time, I
Amazing.
yeah.
What do you think of some of the great classical artworks that capture Mary, such as the Pietà? I've always loved that sculpture. I feel it captures the loss of a mother, the humanity of Jesus. I feel it's very inspired. And I feel that these great pieces of artwork really have, I know we don't worship them, but they do have a role in, you know, in our faith. Do you
Oh,
agree?
yeah. They meet. Yeah. Uh, Again, I go, can you imagine her? Okay, Mary's at the foot of the cross with her son, who's stark naked.
Mhm.
Okay, you don't see that in the
No.
crucifix today. She's there for 3 hours, no benches, no seats. And they take him down from the cross. He's full of human fluids,
Hmm.
okay, blood. And they put him on her lap, which means, as beautiful as that Pietà is, and I love that Pietà, I agree with you. She must have gotten soaked with all these
Yeah.
fluids. But that's the reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
So,
the reality is that's her baby, soaked in blood, soaked in sweat, having been murdered, having been crucified.
yeah,
She still cradles him in her arms.
yeah,
And that's the beauty of her love for Jesus, the sacrifices she made on our behalf. Um, and it really is such a wondrous, wondrous thing, right?
yeah. I figured she was 47 years old. Mary was
Yeah.
when they put him, took him down off the cross and put him in her lap.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
47. And she's a young woman,
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
a young woman
Absolutely.
who lost her son at 33.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
no, I'm no mathematician, but
Right.
it's easy to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
yeah.
What do you hope readers take away from your book?
Logan, I hope they just get a better love for her.
Yeah.
I, uh, I, I was called over to our gift shop here on the grounds one Sunday, and I went over there. There was this said, "Father, there's two women I want to see you," and that's okay. I walked in, and I walked over there, and the one woman said to me, she was from Memphis. I remember that, Memphis, Tennessee. She said, "You wrote a love story, didn't you?"
Hmm.
I said, "You got it." I started to write a book, and I ended up writing a love story.
Yeah.
So I even today I say she's my girlfriend. She's my
Yeah.
girl. She's not only my spiritual mother, but she's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And they look at me like, "Oh, hello." I said, "Hey, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me. I
Yeah.
was I tell her all the time, Mary, you hooked me. You hooked me. You know."
Yeah. Which is
Yeah,
why you say the rosary twice a day, which I'm sure is extremely therapeutic. I find repeating a prayer. I usually pray Our Father when I'm very, very stressed. And that certainly brings you comfort. That's for sure, as does, you know,
yeah.
praying to Mary. Um, Tell us a little bit about your writing career. I know you're a very prolific writer at this point. Um,
Well,
what's your favorite book you've written? Is this it, or are there others? Or
well, this one is the amazing one,
yeah,
and uh, my latest book is called Spiritual Hors d'oeuvres.
okay,
That's my latest one. And then the one before that is Mary book. But another book I've written, I've one of the men I've been fascinated with is a man by the name of Frederick Ozanam,
hmm
Frenchman, who started the St. Vincent Paul Society.
hmm
And in fact, this afternoon, I got a call. I wrote two books, Hosanna and I, Frederick. I wrote I, Frederick. Ozanam never wrote a autobiography. I did it. I did it. I wrote his autobiography,
hmm.
and it was hard, right? It's one of the best books I've ever written.
Now,
And
what was it about this man that an autobiography was called for?
he's just an outstanding individual, a man of great integrity and spirituality and depth. And he, as I said in the beginning, he found me.
Mm-hmm.
Found me. I didn't find him. He found me. And that was in 1963.
Hmm.
And I've written 4 books on him since.
Wow.
And in all different books. You know, he had a marriage that people would die to have. Fairy book knowledge, marriage, just people. He loved can you imagine this, Logan? Every month on the anniversary of their marriage, he gave her flowers. I said, how many men have done that? I paused for a reply.
Not me, unfortunately. I remember my wife's anniversary, but we don't celebrate every month. But I am happy for every minute I spend with her. That's for sure. But he does sound like a remarkable man.
Well, he's a great man he was in France at a time when things were really tough.
Hmm.
He fell in love with the poor.
Hmm.
He fell in love with the poor. And his mom and dad were very much took him and introduced him to the poor. His dad was a doctor, and his mom belonged to a society of women who took care of sick women at night.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
they introduced him to the poor. And he fell in love with the poor. And he was he was a genius, intellectual genius. He had 2 doctorates from the Sorbonne.
Wow.
Law was the first one. And then he got foreign literature.
Hmm.
But in the meantime, though, he started the St. Vincent de Paul. He was a dreamer.
Hmm.
And his dream was to embrace the entire world in a network of charity. Guess what? The reality is a reality. He's in 153 countries in the world with the Society of St. Vincent de Paul.
Amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, he has left his mark, that's for sure. With
Yeah.
his dedication, his passion, his love, and his Christ-like ways. So, and it's great you have immortalized him in your work, which is great as well. Tell us a little bit about spiritual hors d'oeuvres.
It's a whole bunch of short hors d'oeuvres, like appetizers.
Yep.
My idea was that you munch on it, but that's not the main course,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I hope that focusing on that, reflecting on it, praying on it, whatever the subject is, will lead you to a deeper appreciation or spirituality or reflection or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And so I quite a few different subjects. I wrote it when I was down in Dallas in the seminary, working down in the seminary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the book I was trying to get the publisher in New York to do
Mm-hmm.
when he asked me to do the Mary book.
Oh, okay.
You got it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
it's wonderful that you did the Mary book also. So now you have 2 books, and more, of course. Give us, what are some of these subjects that you cover in spiritual hors d'oeuvres?
oh, wow. Just a bunch of different things in the spiritual life, prayer, and uh, I just can't. It's just a tremendous amount of different pieces, short pieces.
Short pieces for people to explore a little bit more, and
Reflect.
like you said,
I can
reflect and
reflect
whet their
on,
appetite.
and
Yeah.
how do they apply to my spiritual life? Yeah, how do I? How does this touch my life? What does
Yeah.
it mean to me? Whatever the subject is, or hopefully they'll trigger people off to think about something else. You know, that thing will trigger them off to think about this other subject,
Yeah.
to apply to themselves. And that's my hope anyway.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your work in the clergy.
Oh, wow. I did a lot of work, Logan, and with the priesthood. Uh, I was rector of the seminary in St. Louis for 9 years,
Mm,
and I ordained a lot of guys. I was worked in Denver in spiritual formation with the clergy. I worked in Kenya in the missionary with the clergy and the poor. Uh,
amazing.
and because see, I belong to the Vincentians. St. Vincent de Paul founded us to preach the gospel to the poor, but also to foreign priests.
Mm,
And so that's pretty much why I was doing it. I've been amazed at what I've been called to do, and quite a I guess quite a background of things I've done.
yeah.
And it was, which was giving me a lot of credibility with students. You know, they go, I've been in the trenches. I've been pastor. Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
associate. Yeah, I've been that. But I've also been.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's
Formation.
interesting. This will be an interesting trivia tidbit for you before we go here today. My very first TV broadcast was produced by a seminary called Dunwoody in Yonkers, New York. They had a
I know that.
program. Do you know of it?
Yes.
They had a program called ITV, Instructional Television, and we put together a newscast. And I was 17 years old, and I put together a newscast called Disco, the Trend of the 70s. And I produced it with my friends at Archbishop Stepanak High School in White Plains.
Oh yeah.
We filmed it at a local department store. We won awards at it was called the Eddie Award. We won it at the seminary there at Dunwoody. And it really launched my career. That was the first time I had appeared on camera, and worked with a Father Cashman, Father James Cashman, who was my director. And it was such a wonderful experience. So the way you and the priesthood have touched so many lives and bettered so many lives and helped so many lives, whether it's through your writing or your work in the ministry, is incalculable, because sometimes as priests never even hear back, but you've touched lives and you've helped people with your life and your service. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Logan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's a real pleasure speaking with you today. The book we've been focused on today is a wonderful book. It's about the Blessed Mother. It'll help renew your faith. It'll renew your connection with the Virgin Mother. It is called Put Your Hands into Hers. Mary, our life, our sweetness, and our hope. It is an insightful work that explores the depth of Mary's femininity and humanity and offers a unique perspective on the mother of Jesus. This book uncovers the inspiration and the hope that Mary embodies and is revealed through Father Ramson's extensive research and personal experience and service in the priesthood. Father, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan. It's great to be with you.
Great to be with you as well. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.